Welcome to Ignite Your Performance, Ignite for KMG, 8 weeks to unleashing your full potential. I'm Beth Chesterton, and this is the more in-depth video to give you a little bit more meat on the bones, if you will, a little bit more detail about what's ahead for the program and where to begin. So, I start with the premise that great athletes truly know what it is they're doing when they're at their best. They're able to be fully present to anything they're doing, activating all their strengths, their skills, their gifts, their talents in that moment where it matters. They've spent a lifetime identifying, protecting, nurturing, and growing these strengths and talents. But somehow we've missed the boat. We're not allowed to talk about it. We're not even allowed to notice it. And if we do, we're bragging. Terrible, terrible sin to be bragging. So we're leaving a lot of our potential on the table. There's something else, this pesky thing called unconscious competence. And that is what comes so naturally to us, we don't even know it matters. I'm going to promise you that if I were to compliment you in the area of your unconscious competence, you would dismiss it as irrelevant. Here's a little story. Some of you may have heard this. A couple of years ago, I was approached by a consulting firm in Europe. And these people were amazing. They are amazing. I've gotten to know them really well. Very sophisticated consultants. And they wanted to talk to me. And they wanted to talk to me again and again. And every time they would talk to me, and these were consultants who had been people who were on publicly traded boards. They were operating at the height of the consulting world. And when they would talk to me, I would be thinking, I'm not enough. And I kept thinking of all the things I wasn't. Now, I worked for a woman and with a woman named Dr. Kathy Kramer for decades. And I called her husband and I said, I got to tell you what's going on with this consulting firm. And I told him all about it. I said, they want to meet in Chicago. The principal of the firm was coming to town and everybody was flying in and they wanted me to come. And I said, I don't know what they want with me. And he said, you don't know what they want with you? And I said, I really don't. And he said, they want your energy. He said, I want your energy. Everyone wants your energy. Well, because he said it and I trusted him, and I do trust him, I accepted the feedback and packed my little bag and went to Chicago and met with consultants who flew in from all over the world. And guess what I did? Instead of thinking what I wasn't, I was present. I connected. I asked them to tell me about their business. When we had dinner, I talked about the things I was curious about. The next day when we had a full day of meetings, I was present. And by the end of the weekend, we struck a deal that I would be a partner with their firm. Today, a couple of years later, I'm still working with them. Nobody's busy worrying about what I'm not, but what they are interested in is how I can contribute to the projects at hand. Now, I'm going to go a little further with the story. Sounds like bragging. But here's the further part. For decades, especially early in my career, I facilitated, I don't know, probably over 1,000 people a year, 2,000, maybe more. Every year, I was facilitating meetings with that number of people in them annually. And there would always be an evaluation. Now, being an ambitious person or a critical person, however you want to look at it, self-critical, I would get those evaluations at the end of the meeting and go right through them. Guess what I was looking for? What I'd done wrong. Did they think I'd done anything wrong? Did I miss it? Now, what I was missing is a really high percentage of people would say their favorite thing about the program was Beth's energy. Isn't that funny? All these years later, somebody's telling me about energy. I totally disregarded the subject of energy when I had evaluations in my very hands from thousands and thousands of people who were experiencing me in my programs. Beth's energy. I thought, who cares? And here's why. I didn't know it mattered. And now when I look back, it's because it was free. I didn't do a thing to try to bring energy to my programs. I was designing content. I was trying at that. I was designing processes. I was designing curriculum. I wanted to know, what did they think of that? Which was it was hard work, what I call hard earned. But what came for free seemed irrelevant to me. Now, flash forward all of this time later, and a man who's so generous to have told me this said, "This is it, Beth. This is your thing. It's energy." So today, at this ripe age, I figured that out. Doesn't mean my energy is always perfect. Doesn't mean I'm not difficult sometimes. My energy can be the most difficult energy in the world when I'm late to the airport, in transition, flustered. My energy is the pits. But when I'm at my best, my energy's my straight shot against my opponent where I can drive right past them. It's not that it's competitive. I don't mean that. I mean, it's one of my gifts. It's one of my talents. It's something I have to offer. Now, here's why I tell you that story. It isn't about me. It's about you. What is it that you have that your entire life you've dismissed is irrelevant, even when thousands of people took the time to tell you? Now, maybe you weren't on the receiving end of thousands of evaluations, but I guarantee you some teacher, some mentor, some person gave you some feedback that you dismissed. And it'll be hard for you to even remember till you have somebody in your life who helps you see it. You see, we can't see ourselves without the help of others. We cannot. We can never be on the receiving end of ourselves. Now, most of us are humiliated by that so often. If you have children, they've humiliated you about how you show up, unless they're not old enough yet, then they will later. But we can be humiliated by the ways we've shown up that are embarrassing. But we've rarely spent time trying to figure out, what is it about us that adds value? It might be that, let's say you're a quiet person and you listen in meetings and you're reflective. And maybe somebody even shamed you along the way saying, you got to speak up. But the truth is, it's in that listening that you are offering so much. Observation skills come with listening, noticing what's happening, having the ability to ask that question at the end of a meeting that maybe nobody's thought of because some of the people who are thinking out loud are so busy doing so that they're not noticing the patterns in the meeting, the trends, and that might be you. I'm going to tell you, this is some really fun work and it can be deep work. We're going to start wherever you are. Imagine you're going to the gym and you're in some kind of shape. You can be in great shape. You can have been sitting on the sidelines for a while and you have a personal trainer who assesses where you are and maybe hands you a set of weights. For some people, it's 2 pounds. For some people, it's 5 pounds. For some people, it's 8 pounds. And for others, it's 10 and even more. But the trainer notices and gives you the right set of weights for you and says, please do 15 reps, 15 bicep curls. And you do them. And then you come back a few days later, if you're lucky enough to have a personal trainer. I haven't had one for a long time, but I've experienced this before and it's really exciting. And when you come back again, they hand you those weights and they say, do it again. And you would never say, I did them last week, or I did them last month, or I did them last year. But that's what we say with strengths. We'll say, I did strength finders in 2015. And I say to you, okay, dust it off. I want to see your strength finders. But we're going to come back to this because it's not just about knowing or hearing what your strengths are. It's about getting it. I had thousands of people tell me it was energy. I didn't get it. But one person told me and I got it. It landed. And I'm like, what can I do with that? I was so busy trying to perfect things that really aren't. It's like rolling a boulder up a hill, perfecting my weaknesses. Doesn't mean you don't need to hone them. Feedback and working on our weaknesses is so important. But Dr. Kathy Kramer, who I respected and admired and worked with so much, talked about a 5-to-1 ratio. Spending 5 times as much time noticing what's strong, what's working, and what's possible, but not ignoring the one. The difference that would make the difference in your performance. So we have a challenge, and one of the parts of the challenge is to help you feel comfortable to enter this terrain. And for some of you, you're already there. You're like, I'm comfortable, bring it on. And for others, you're like, whoa, I don't know. This is really different. It's not how I was raised to be. That's okay. Wherever you are, we'll meet you with the pound weight that you can handle. We're going to help you identify your strengths. We're going to help you build muscle, being comfortable there so that you can show up fully to whatever it is you're doing. And I always talk about it being like an app that runs in the background, your strengths, knowing them so well. It's like an app that runs in the background, completely unconscious to you, but fully activated so that you're present to what's happening and your strengths are engaged, like a great athlete. Now you have some exercises here. Take a little time and reflect on your strengths. You'll see some questions. When are you compelling? When are you repelling? Now, I know and that people are compelling or repelling at all times. It's microscopic sometimes, hard to detect. Think about it though. You have some friends or some family or some coworkers that you can tell when all of a sudden you hook them or they get hooked and they are difficult. It happens for me. I can become really defensive. If you dismiss me, I can start to fight for my position. Probably I wouldn't do that with a client or even a work friend, but I would do that with my good friends and my family. If you totally dismiss me, I'll fight harder for my position and guess what? Become more and more repelling. You will not want to work with me, be attracted to me, be magnetically drawn to me. You will think, ye gads, I don't like what's happening. Now, this is the thing. We don't tell our good friends this. We don't tell our colleagues this. We don't tell one another this. It's like a little conspiracy. I won't tell you about yours if you don't tell me about mine. It's very microscopic. Let me give you an example. I was leading a program, and there was this woman. She was speaking. We were sitting in a circle, and she was speaking. She was so powerful. I felt that she was like Maya Angelou. And I stopped the action and I said, is everybody feeling what I'm feeling? We were leaning on her every word. And I just told, I shared that with everybody and people agreed. They felt the same way. I said, you have it. We are all hanging on your every word. And we described that. I described that strength and we talked about it. Then the next session, we came together and she stood in the front of the room and she was speaking and she was dull. It was not good. So I was thinking to myself, did I speak too soon? What's up? What is she thinking about? And I asked her, what are you thinking about? She looked confused because she was speaking. She said, I'm thinking about what I'm speaking about. I said, no. What else are you thinking about? And she sheepishly said, I am thinking about what I'm wearing. I wish I'd worn pants. I'm wearing a skirt. I feel really fat right now. I think my thighs are big. Okay, now we had something. She had us again. You see, now we were drawn in again. But this really begs a question. What are we thinking about when you're making a pitch to a client? What are you thinking about? Because if you're fully present, you might be like she was the first time where we're all leaning in and we want more. But if you're thinking about something else, your doubt, your butt, your legs, how you screwed up a week ago, how you don't really know what you're saying, how you stumble on your words, you're not going to be your most compelling self. In fact, on a microscopic level, you're repelling because you look at all the ways we start to correct for that. We're going to stop the action in our programs during our coaching sessions and stop the action and notice what's working and what's not working as much. And we're going to bring humor and levity to this because we are all in this mess together. And when we bring humor and levity to this, we're going to start to unlock and have conversations you've never allowed yourself to have before, which is part of how we really do unleash potential because so much of it's sitting on the table. We're not allowed to have the conversations. It's taboo. And when we are allowed to have the conversations, a lot of times we get in our own way. We have things going on in our head right now all the time. And when we're not fully present to what we're doing, we're losing. And our clients are losing. Our colleagues are losing. Everyone around us is losing. So this is what Ignite for KMG is all about. It's all about really discovering what I call your genius so you can unleash it and accomplish the extraordinary. And when we're in this exploration of your genius, all I need is a willing participant. If you're not willing, I'm not sure this will work for you. But if you're willing, when we start discovering your genius, it's going to feel really, really good. And I used to say earlier in my career, and it's okay, it feels good, but it's not just about feeling good. It's about actually making a greater contribution and expanding your impact. And then somebody said to me, why are you so upset if it feels good? And I thought to myself, really, why am I so upset? We can all use to feel better. But what if feeling better is actually helping us do better? So, without further ado, welcome to Ignite Your Performance, Ignite for KMG. 8 weeks to unlocking your full potential. I look forward to working with you. Please reach out if you have any questions, concerns, or insights or thoughts about yourself. And have a great time doing it.